Assalamu alaikum. Hope everyone is doing great. Today we are going to learn how to API calling with exception handling. First, create a folder name repository. In this folder, we will store all the API repositories or API Dart files. Then create login repository.dart file. Today we will use two packages. They are an HTTP package for API calling and ConnectivityPlus for checking whether we are connected to the internet or not. Let's import them into the terminal. After importing HTTP in the repository, then create a function with a future HTTP response return type. It will take two parameters, username and password. Now create an instance of connectivity. Then check if we are not connected to Wi-Fi or mobile data, then we are going to throw an exception. Then create a client instance. It's a post method, so we need a body data type of map. In this data, we will pass two key values, username and password. Because in the API documentation, it says we need these two data. After that, we need the API URL. We will store our API URL in the utils API URL Dart file. For the API, we will use FakeStoryP. Click on the docs, then click on Login API. It will direct to you your login documentation. Here we can see the API URL, and in the body, we need two parameters as we already use them in our data variable. Now let's copy the URL and paste it into our project. Now we need a try-catch block. Advantage of this try-catch block is if we face any problem in try block, it will take us to catch block and throw an error. After that, we will handle those errors as we like. First, we call the API using our client and store it in the response variable. In the API call, we will pass the URL and body. Then we will print the response in debug mode. The log will help us to print larger responses. Then we need to close our client because our API call has finished. Then we return the response we get. If our API calling takes too much time, then it will take us to timeout exception. In timed exception, we will throw an exception. If we have any problem in the try block, then we will handle it in our catch block. In catch block, we throw an exception. After that, we have to call that function on our login page. Before that, let's create an instance of the login repository. Now the end of the file, we will create the login function to call the API. To call the login API, we will wrap it in a try-catch block. In try-catch, we will call the function and store it in the response variable. We will check the response status code. If it is 200 or 201, then we assume the API call is successful, otherwise we will return and print the response. The response we get in the map, so we have to decode the response. Then we copy the code that we have in the login button on tap. We have already called the API in Postman and seen the response. In the response, we get a token. But in the login model class, we don't have the token attribute. Let's create the token attribute. Tokens value stored in the token keywords, so we have to find that in the JSON data token and then store it in our model class. Then print a success message and return it. Then we will catch the exception and catch the error if something error happened. Then we will call the function when the login button is pressed. Now let's run the app. Oops, we got a from ConnectivityPlus package. It says we have a minimum SDK version is 19. So let's change this in the project directory. First, let's go to Android, then the app build.gradle. We changed the min SDK version to 20. Let's run the app again. We input some wrong info and then hit the login button. Yes, the API call has been successful. The response says that we have entered the wrong credentials. Let's turn off the Wi-Fi and mobile data and log in again. Yes, connectivity package is working great too, and our exception is handling pretty well. Now try with a real username and password. We get that from the website docs. Yes, our API call is successful. The response prints the token from the API call. So thank you everyone for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hope to see you in the next tutorial.